Let me guess, you guys want to set up a nano tank at your home, at your work, on your desk, whatever it is. Well, today we're going to talk about the things you need to watch out for before you set up that tank so that you have success. Let's get right into today's video. What is going on, guys? This is Rob with flipaquatics.com, and as you can see, we have a ton of nano tanks here. It's one of our specialties. It's one thing that I truly love is setting up nano aquariums, but there's a lot of issues with managing a small tank. Even though these are considered nano, these are still 10 gallons. Most of you that are probably thinking of a nano tank are thinking like 2, 3 gallons, 4 gallons, something like that. Desktop aquariums, and there's a lot of things that you need to watch out for. So today we're going to go through like 5 tips of things that could go wrong in your tank, how to prevent them, and how you can have success with setting up a nano tank. The first thing that you need to know about nano aquariums: water parameters. So water parameters are so crucial in small tanks, and we're going to talk about temperature and all that. But the first thing I want to really focus in on is evaporation. So most nano aquariums don't have lids. They're just rimless tanks and people keep them open. And that causes evaporation like crazy, which is gonna cause your parameters to go whack. And then your fish are gonna do bad, your shrimp are gonna do bad because your hardness is shooting up while the water evaporates. Just so you all know, water, when it evaporates, it doesn't take any minerals with it. So like the concentration of minerals in your aquarium will shoot up. You have less water, then you do a water change with regular water, and you just have all kinds of issues. So I have a couple things to prevent that. One, if you use a lid, it's gonna save you so much. Here's the next thing. Now, you're gonna laugh because I got duckweed in this tank, but floating plants literally will save your life. The more floating plants you have, now granted it's gonna block out the light, but they're gonna prevent evaporation. And what they're also gonna do is they're gonna keep your water quality super high because they eat up nitrates like crazy. So first big tip, evaporation and how you prevent it. Floating plants or lid, it's gonna make your life so much easier. So the next big issue with small aquariums is the amount of filters that you can choose for a small aquarium is very, very limited. And we've used like these little hang on the back filters for the longest time. They clog so easy. They don't work very good. They're not super reliable. If the power goes out and then it comes back on, they don't naturally kick back on. And I think just nano filters in general just aren't built really well because they're so small, they're so compact. They're trying to fit so much into a little thing that just ends up not working. Filtration is so important. So we've seen so much more success. What we did is we transitioned to matte filters. If you guys don't know what that is, it's literally a solid piece of foam. It takes the whole back wall. So when you look in, the aquarium looks really nice because it's a black background. And so we custom cut these. You can order these bulk on our website, flipaquatics.com. Not a sales pitch, I'm just informing you. And then you can actually cut them down yourself. You can always send us an email, we can tell you how to do it. But this has really changed our whole operation in the gallery. These tanks have had so many more babies. Like if you were looking in this tank, there's literally babies everywhere. And these tanks are doing so much better since we transitioned from mechanical filtration, or an actual power filter as people call them. And so that would be my next big tip, is you need good filtration. The best filtration you can get for as small as the tank, the better off you're gonna be. So that would be tip number 2, is filtration is important. And you need to get the most reliable filter that you can so that you can have success with your nano aquarium. It's easy when you have a small tank to be like, oh, you know, I got a 2-gallon tank and I wanna keep 6 guppies in there. Well, yeah, like that can work, but what happens is you have to be on top of your water changes. So like in this tank right here, this is a 10-gallon tank. We're really only utilizing like 3/4 of the tank because of the matte filter. And there's probably like 60 endlers in here, if not more. And these are our white peacocks. They're super beautiful. So what you have to do is now you have to be, one, either on top of your water changes to make sure that you're maintaining ideal parameters, or this is my big tip for overcrowding and how you can get away with being more animals into a smaller environment: live plants. Live plants literally help so much because they absorb nitrates, which is NO3s, which is the final cycle, or the final product of an aquarium cycle, the nitrogen cycle. And so all of these tanks, for the most part, have floating plants in them, have some water tank in them because it's good for the babies. And then we want to put guppy grass in all these too because it's such a fast grower, and it helps give them a place for the babies to hide and actually survive. So Tip 3 would be for overcrowding, and how you can do that is, one, either reduce the amount that you stock your nano tanks with, or put a ton of plants in there, because that's really going to help the fish live their best life without running into NO3 poisoning. So floating plants, plants in general, it's going to be so great for your aquarium. The biggest concern with having a nano tank is almost every single nano tank is a rimless. And especially with us using matin filters, which come up to the top of the rim, is the fact that fish jump, shrimp crawl out. So if you have these small tanks that are rimless, you fill the water up to as high as you can, you have a matin filter that goes up to the top, you are going to have shrimp that are crawling out, fish that are jumping. And this is all coming back to the evaporation thing, is the more things you have on the surface to prevent them from crawling out of the water, the better off it's going to be. The more surface area you have in the aquarium for like shrimp to hide in, the less likely it is that they're going to crawl out. And then there's also, what you could do is, one, you can get really DIY here and like glue little rims onto the side, or there's some products out there, which we've used them in the past. They're mainly for snails, because snails like to crawl out too, is you literally just take it, it's organic product, and you rub it along the rim, and that will prevent snails from getting out. But again, this is coming back to the evaporation thing, is having a lid on your tank is so beneficial. So if you have a tank at work, here's what I would recommend. I would recommend putting a lid on it when you're not there, and you can take the lid off when you're there. So that way, you know, nothing's going wrong on the weekends when you're not at work, or when you're not paying attention to it. In the summer, you know, if you're not sitting there looking at it a lot, keep a lid on your tank, because it's going to prevent fish from jumping out, shrimp from falling out, snails from falling out. And it's just going to make your life so much better, because I had one of these tanks on my, one of these tanks on my desk for the longest time. And I had like a group of 10 shrimp that I thought were the best shrimp ever. And I really loved them. And all of a sudden it was just diminishing. There was less and less shrimp. And that's because they were literally, and I even kept my water level down. So people say like, oh, just keep your water level down 2 inches. No, like they will find a way. And I had it down to like 2 inches below the surface. And I was finding the shrimp on the floor. I was finding them behind my desk, like all over the place. So highly encourage you guys to either create something that is a temporary stop, so that it's like, you know, a T angle where they can't get up and over, or just keep a lid on your tank when you're not there to supervise it. Those would be my 2 recommendations to keep your livestock safe and in the tank. So looking at all these tanks, my final piece of advice is the fact that if you are deciding on whether you want to start an aquarium and it be a nano tank, if you've never done a nano tank before, if you haven't kept an aquarium before, I would highly encourage you to only do a nano tank if you are an experienced hobbyist. Because even somebody like me, who's been in the aquarium hobby for 10 plus years, has kept thousands of aquariums, I still steer away from nano aquariums. Anything less than 10 gallons scares me, because I know the amount of work that it takes to keep that thing in tip-top shape, make sure the livestock is thriving. So here's what I would encourage you. If you are a new aquarist, somebody just getting into the hobby, 10 gallons or higher, preferably 20 gallons. The bigger the volume of water, the easier it's going to be for you. But if you do want to do something like this, I would say do your research, really take every precaution that you can to make sure you have success. Know about evaporated water. You need to be topping off with RO water or distilled water. You need to know your parameters. You need to know how many fish you can keep, what type of plants you can keep, what type of lighting you need. So I don't want to scare you away from doing a nano tank. I just want to encourage you to do tons of research and be experienced, at least with your research, before you jump into nano aquariums. So that's my piece of advice for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, God bless. We'll catch you on the flip side.